Welcome back to the Southy Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm Ollie Hayes, and today I'm bringing the starting 11 show for the Merseyside Derby on Wednesday night at Goodison Park. And again, in a bit of a better mood after the Nottingham Forest result. Thought we played really well, and it only bodes well going into this Merseyside Derby. But yeah, as I said, starting 11 show, want to get straight into it. Jordan Pickford in goal. Again, I say this every week. Not a lot to say about Jordan Pickford in goal. I said last week after the Chelsea game, leading up to the Nottingham Forest game, that he had to bounce back. He had to put in a good performance, and he certainly did that against Nottingham Forest. Didn't he? A huge save from Chris Wood, kept us in the game. Um, and as I said before, huge performance. Did so well to bounce back, and again, we're going to need him in the Merseyside derby. We've seen so many times how many times that Liverpool come forward in these type of games. So Pickford is going to have to be on top form again, and I think he's the perfect man to do that. I think he always rises to the challenge of the Merseyside derby. So yeah, Jordan Pickford in goal for me. Starting then for the defence, I'm going to go Vitaly Mykolenko at left back. Thought he coped really well against Nottingham Forest, put in a good cross, which eventually led to the Idrissa Gay goal, which put us ahead in that first half. I thought he coped well in terms of defence. Forest have got some very quick wingers there in the likes of Hudson-Odoi, even Gibbs White coming through the middle and drifting wide, and then Elanga coming on. Really quick wingers, but again, coped really well in terms of defence. Gave us again a solid performance. As I say every week, he's that solid performer. He's the consistent man in that back four, and he always goes about his business quite quietly. So for me, Vitaly Mykolenko does more than enough to keep his place there. And moving into the centre halves, we're going to go with James Tarkowski and Jared Branthwaite. Once again, not a lot to say about them too. I thought they were really solid against Nottingham Forest. They offered a lot in terms of aerial ability. You know, blocking shots here and there as well, and another clean sheet on the board for the season for both centre halves. So for me, it's absolutely no brainer. They're going to be the best centre halves that we've got to combat Liverpool's attack. And I know Diogo Jota is out, so that again only helps us and only helps James Tarkowski and Jared Branthwaite. So for me, they have to start a top quality performance on Sunday, which eventually got us that win. Moving to right back again, I always say this: it's a quite a contentious position, right back, isn't it? And I do think Sean Dyche is going to stick with Ashley Young at right back, and it's quite a difficult choice really because Liverpool have some very good attackers and players that are going to probably rip Ashley Young to shreds. But I think Ashley Young is that calmer head, he's that more experienced head than the likes of Ben Godfrey playing at right back or a James Garner who hasn't played there often at all. He's only played there once in the last 12 months. If you look at that Bournemouth game just before the end of last season, I think that was the last time he started there. So for me, I think Ashley Young will probably be the player that starts at right back. I don't think he played horrendously against Nottingham Forest. He obviously is embroiled in this controversy from the three penalties, which may or may not have caused a little bit of a stir on Twitter from Nottingham Forest's admin. But for me, I think Young, as I said before, he's that experienced head. He did get sent off in this fixture at Anfield earlier in the season, so it'll be interesting to see how he reacts to that and if he's a little bit more cautious in the tackles he makes and diving in. But I think it'll probably be either Luis Diaz probably will play against Ashley Young. So again, that's a really tough battle, but I think he's just got that little bit more experience to stand off him and make the tackle than the likes of Ben Godfrey would, because we know what Ben Godfrey's defensive awareness is like. But yeah, that's my back four. Then moving into midfield. And the first name in my midfield has to be Idrissa Gay for me. My man of the match on Sunday. I think a lot of people's man of the match on Sunday. Great goal, very calm on the ball, exactly what we needed for that performance. And again, Liverpool have got some top quality midfielders in the likes of Ryan Gravenberch, Endo as well is a decent outfit there in midfield. So for me, Idrissa Gay on the ball will have to be quite clued up and quite incisive with his passes, as well. Also breaking up the play, trying to put tackles in. I think Idrissa Gay is probably our biggest asset in terms of midfield, in terms of doing that. So for me, he has to start. He has to be that first name in midfield for me. And then also another player I thought played well on Sunday against Nottingham Forest was Andre Gomes. I thought he looked quite decent on the ball. His set pieces weren't great. His set pieces were relatively poor. I think there's so many times where he didn't beat the first man, but on the ball in midfield, he was progressive. He was positive in his passes. He looked to move the ball forward wherever he could, and I think he can. As I said in my player focus a few weeks ago, I think he can offer us something in these last few games because he's a player that has that little ounce of quality. He has that incisive pass in him. He has that killer pass that can pick out a winger or pick out a striker in behind. I think he's probably one of the only players in our midfield that does have that ability. So for me, I think Dyche will probably opt to play Andre Gomes again. I'm not sure if he'll get the full 90 minutes of him, and that's where the likes of James Garner will come off the bench and and replace him and give us those fresh legs for maybe the last half hour of the game. But I think Andre Gomes definitely has something to offer us for us in this game. So I think Dyche will probably opt for Andre Gomes from the start. And then for me, I will look to give Decore a rest as my third centre midfielder. I'd look to bring Amadou Onana back into the fold. Maybe try him a bit further forward in that Decore role, or just play a flat midfield three and have Idrissa Gana Gueye as your midfielder that goes and wins the ball, breaks up the play, gets the tackles in, and we know Amadou Onana likes to do that as well. It's not just exclusive to Idrissa Gana Gueye, but maybe try him in that little bit more of a progressive role, getting the ball to feet, turning and then playing passes out wide. I think Amadou Onana will probably suit that role. So I think for me against Nottingham Forest, I did think Decore looked a little bit leggy again. He looked a little bit tired. So maybe just give him a rest. We've got a huge game again on Saturday at half 5 against Brentford, and no doubt I'll be giving the starting 11 for that one. But for this game, I do think Amadou Onana will probably come back, and I think Dyche will probably look to use Amadou Onana in this game because, as I said, it's a huge game, isn't it? Liverpool is always one of the biggest games in our calendar, and we do just have to rotate. And I think Amadou Onana, not featuring on Sunday, it showed to me that he might be more likely to feature against Liverpool from the start. So I think that will be our midfield. I think that's what Dyche will probably go for. And then moving into attack, I'll start off the left. I'm going to go with McNeil. Great goal, to put us 2-0 up. I thought that was a crucial goal to put us 2-0 up. He was so positive in his running, I thought, on Sunday. He looked like the McNeil of old. He looked like that player that we saw last season that I was touching on in the pre-Forest starting 11 show. He looked like that player that we've been crying out for the last 5-6 weeks. And for me, it is starting to show now that once you do put the hard work in with Dwight McNeil, that you are bearing the fruits of that. And I think for me, he's worked so hard on just sticking at it. He's had chances. That's no doubt. You look back to the West Ham game at home, for example. He had a huge chance there which he wasn't able to put away, and then he stuck at it, and he's got a great goal on Sunday, and just showed how hard he's been working. So for me, he has to keep that up. It's going to be a difficult game going forward. We know we're not going to get a lot of chances. Chances are going to be few and far between, but McNeil for me is the one that can really unlock Liverpool. And I thought personally against Nottingham Forest, having him come central, he came in off that left. He looked a lot better playing central. He looked like he could control the game a lot more and get involved a lot more. So I think that was one thing that Evertonians had maybe accused him of in recent weeks, is not showing 110% effort, not getting involved in games enough, and coming inside, he definitely showed that. So I think maybe looking to have him as a winger that will come central. I think that is a role that suits him. So I'd definitely like to see that again on Wednesday night against Liverpool. And then moving to the right hand side, I know this is probably another one has a few contentious aspects of it. I'd probably look to bring Danjuma, and I think Dyche may look to bring Danjuma in. And similar to what I said with Amadou Onana, it's a point of the season, it's a point of this week where we've got 3 games in 6 days. We're going to have to rotate. Jack Harrison, I don't think had a fantastic game against Nottingham Forest. So for me, I'd probably look to use Danjuma there, and I think Dyche will maybe look to use Danjuma. He offers more going forward than Jack Harrison. We know that he's a lot more of a direct runner. He's got a lot more pace than Jack Harrison. He's got a lot more skill on the ball. So I think in a game against Liverpool, you are going to need that little bit of brilliance, that little bit of moment of magic to carve a chance or just carve a half chance. And I think Danjuma is definitely the player that can offer us that. So I think Dyche may look to rotate the squad a little bit and bring Danjuma in to play off that right hand side. And that brings us quite nicely to the striker position. And if fit, I think Dyche will opt to use Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I know it was said in his press conference that he might be a little bit touch and go, but he's hopeful that Dominic Calvert-Lewin will be fit after that little knock against Nottingham Forest, obviously coming off early for Beto. And I probably would have started Beto against Liverpool, but for his horrific injury, and for Beto, you just have to wish him all the best, and hopefully he's backfiring for us in the next couple of weeks. But I think if he is fit, Dominic Calvert-Lewin will start for us. Listen, I think he didn't have a fantastic game because he wasn't on the score sheet, and strikers will probably admit themselves that if they aren't on the score sheet, they probably haven't had a fantastic game. And I don't think he offered much going forward, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He had that one chance at the back post where he headed it straight to the Forest keeper, and I just want to see him on that score sheet again, even if it's just a lucky goal like we saw against Burnley. I just want to see him keep that record ticking over. It would probably make it 3 goals in 4 games if he were to score against Liverpool. So I think just for confidence wise, that would be huge for him. So just to see that tally ticking over would be nice. But again, if Dominic Calvert-Lewin isn't fit, I think Dyche may look to use Yusuf Chermiti, a player that we haven't seen a lot from the start. I don't think he's made one start, but for a start at Doncaster in August in the Carabao Cup. He's a player that I quite like. Every time I've seen him come and make a cameo in an Everton shirt, whether it be in the under 21s or in the first team off the bench, I think I've really liked what I've seen. I think he's a powerful runner. I think he seems to be a nuisance. He seems to be rather similar to Beto when he comes off the bench. He always seems to get booked for me. But if Dominic Calvert-Lewin isn't fully fit and it is Yusuf Chermiti from the start, one thing I would say is we have to just get behind him. It's going to be a difficult circumstance, whatever, being thrown in at the deep end. We saw it with Ellis Sims last season at Anfield. He was thrown in the deep end and got one of his first starts in Everton shirt at Anfield. So we have to just get behind him, stay patient with him. But if it is Yusuf Chermiti who makes that start, I think I'll be quite excited to see that and just see how he does. But we can't write him off as Evertonians. If he does make that start, I think we have to just stay patient with him. He's a young striker, and in a Merseyside derby, making your first start in an Everton shirt for the first team, I think that will be relatively difficult. So, hopefully Calvert-Lewin's fit and Yusuf Chermiti can make a cameo late on just to try and bed himself into the game. But, if he isn't, that would probably be an option for me. But yeah, as I said, DCL will probably start if he's fit, and I think that's what Dyche will go with. But that's all from me today. Let me know your thoughts on this starting 11. Let me know your chances in the Merseyside derby. Again, it's not a game that we look forward to as Evertonians, is it? It's always one that's quite nervy and a game where we probably think that we're going to get stuffed 9 times out of 10. But if we just manage to grind out a draw or somehow nick a result and get the victory, I think that would be huge for us. But again, this is quite a telling week for us in this relegation battle. But let me know your thoughts on the starting 11. Let me know the chances that you think we've got for tomorrow's game. But that's all from me. I'll speak to you soon.